4, appearance of interested citizens. Second call for appearance of interested citizens. Last call for appearance of interested citizens. Seeing none, we move on to number 5, notices, communications, announcements. 5A, notice of Board of Appeal and Equalization meeting, Monday, April 25th, 6 till 6:30. Ms. Benson and myself have been trained in LBAE. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. I just had to go get out of people there.
Thank you very much.
All the questions take them to you, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. Number 6, the consent agenda. Anything you want to go over with on the water report, Catherine?
Yeah, we can talk about that a little bit.
Kathy, the insurance, payments to the League of Minnesota Cities,
Mm-hmm.
is that the policy that, if our experience rating is good or whatever during the year, then we get
We've got
rebate.
substantial premiums, we get rebates.
As long as
Yeah.
nobody has large claims on it, it should.
Well, and the way they do it, they mitigate those large claims by, you don't get penalized if you have one really large claim. They kind of take it all into account, but this premium is actually down from last year. And it may have, it just has to do with where they have claims and where they have to raise their rates or not. If they have a lot of land use claims, or if they have a lot of physical claims, or if they have a lot of automobile claims, it just, their rates can change and fluctuate, and so we have to just kind of go with the flow on that. But they're, it covers, it's every piece of equipment and property in the open, and it's liability, and it's buildings, and it's bond coverage. It's anything we need to be covered for.
Do they come around once a year, review that with us, Kathy?
Every-
They just send us a bill.
I have to actually go through a many-page list and tell them all the things that may be different
We
if
still
we're
have
adding.
it or we don't. Or-
Yeah, things, if we get rid of a building, or if we get a different piece of equipment, and then, it has to do with our total, expenses for the year, and it has to do with our population, it has to do with how many sewer hookups we have, so that they have a really complicated formula where you have to throw budget numbers at them too, so they see what your potential liability could be. And, so we go over that, and Butch Johnson's our agent of record for that, and I do most of it, and then he goes over it to see if there's anything that jumps out at him. But most of the time I just deal directly with the league, because they have really good answers, I mean, you go right to the source if I don't understand why they charged us something, But, and every 3 to 5 years, I think, they come down and actually physically look at our buildings.
They do a site visit.
They do a visit to see if the value we happen to have on the building is not good, or too high, too low, whatever.
Also in the consent agenda, I would like to acknowledge, I guess, the completion of the probationary period for Riley Anderson.
Sure.
Well, just so it doesn't get buried.
Right, right.
know.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done a good job for
I'm
us.
sure we're all
Yep.
happy to have him on board.
Yep.
Yeah, and in the case, his actual date is May 8th, but you won't be, March 8th, but you won't be meeting until after that. So that's kind of why we were putting it on this time, because we don't foresee anything drastic happening to the negative in the next week or two.
Almost crunch time.
Yeah, we give him a hard time. He didn't sit with his grandma. We went to break today, and he didn't sit with his grandma and Stumpy, so we gave him a hard time about that.
I think Grandma Shirley was like, wait a minute.
I'll talk about the water report.
Okay, the water report is, the yellow line that runs across there is for 2015, and all the lines above it are all those other years. And you can see we pumped considerably less gallons in 2015, and some of that is because we didn't have any big construction projects going on that were using up gallonage, and we didn't have hardly any leaks, because we fixed a leak at the treatment plant, we fixed some small leaks elsewhere, we fixed the pool leak. So there was a lot less unaccounted for water, but we also pumped less probably because it was a wetter summer and people didn't water their lawns as much, and probably because we raised the rates and they didn't want to pay that higher fee, you know, for that, because now the more you use, the more you pay. So you know, there's more than one factor involved, but we just plain pumped a lot, you know, 5 million gallons almost less than we did last year. The part in green where it says 2015 other uses include these gallons, 1,210,000. Those are gallons that we don't have a meter that records that, but we keep track of it. I mean, when the guys are flushing hydrants, they keep track of, you know, how many hydrants they flush, how often they flush, what the rate of flow is or whatever, and we keep track of filling the pool, backwashing on the water plant. So there's things where we know that we're using it, it's just not running through a meter.
It's considerably less than 2014.
Yeah, and a lot of that would be from the Highway 43 project, because there was a lot more that was used for that. And some of that was metered, or some of that they paid for in different parts, but others, it was just something we had to provide, it was part of the project. So and we sold 120,000 gallons, though that's up a little bit, because there was, Minnesota Energy was doing a gas line thing, and they needed a lot of water. Do you understand what they were doing with their, Roger? They were flushing
Yeah,
something out.
they have to do like a pressure test on their line, so they fill them with water, and then they put air in it to increase the pressure, and then they see if there's any leaks.
Mm-hmm. And there were more, sometimes firemen don't do this very often, but once in a while there's some farmers that have a well go down or something freezes up and they take water out for the animals and stuff. That doesn't happen a lot, but once in a while. And
We used a lot of water
in
the bike
Peterson,
trail over
yeah,
there.
yeah, over by Peterson area, there was a company over there that was, a sod company and some other company that was using a lot of water. And they were maybe not always metered, but they knew how many, or they told us how many tank loads they got, and they kept track of it that way. So then the part where it says residential gallons sold and commercial gallons sold, you can see where we sold less residential gallons. Commercial is about the same. So in the long run, what we sold and what we accounted for, and take that into account versus what we pumped in, so we had like unaccounted for 10.61%, which is pretty consistent over the last many years, and it's pretty much industry standard too. I think the guys are doing a good job of keeping track of water when we're using it, and we're keeping on top of things that are leaking or not working properly. And I think too, with our new water meter system, Luann gets those reports when someone's water meter is showing an excessive usage. So if, we catch people's leaks in their home long before they can waste many, many gallons.